ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Rebel Label Podcast. My name is R.E.B.E.L, A-R-I-G-O-R-V. You can find me on Instagram, Facebook, Spotify, all that good stuff. That's where you can check me out. And here with me today I have...
Swiggle Mandela.
Awesome. Where can we find you?
Swiggle Mandela, like Nelson. Man, I'm everywhere. Instagram, Facebook, Spotify, Tidal, YouTube.
Yeah.
Just Google me. Just we doing big things.
Google me, baby. You crazy?
We trying to put it everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
Everywhere.
Of course. So what's behind the name, too? I imagine the Mandela thing. Was that purposeful?
That's actually part of my given name.
Mm.
My mom named me Mandela. So, yeah, my first name is Bo Mandela.
Mm.
So, yeah, she's like a real intelligent, radical person. So, yeah, I'm mostly black and Filipino.
Okay.
And so my mom, that's the black side. So, she named me Mandela.
Yeah.
Word.
That's awesome. Now, were you born in Portland? Have you always lived here, or?
Yeah, I was born in Portland, but I haven't always lived here.
Mm.
For the most part, I lived in Portland, but I lived a little bit of my life in Estacada, like in the country when I was real little.
Yeah.
And then I lived in Oakland for a little while in the 90s. And I lived in Compton for a little while in the 90s, in maybe year 2000. And then I always wanted to live in Portland.
Yeah.
So I always wanted to come back. So, yeah, my mom moved around a lot, and I wanted to be with my mom. But my dad, he was in Portland for most of my life. So we ended up back in Portland 2001, 2002, and then that was it. Portland from then on, Rose City, forever, you know?
So just to get the timeline, we were talking about this room a little bit beforehand, and you were talking about how around 13 you used to record a lot around here?
Yeah. 12, 13. I started recording in this neighborhood a lot. Yeah, that's when I really, middle school, I started writing a lot.
Yeah.
Learning music format, song format, how to write songs. And also just being in school, you have to learn English and you have to learn writing, creative writing, and poetry or literature. So taking all of that and then putting it into the music. So
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I started recording around here 2002, 2003, and there was a lot of older artists around that were at the time my role models, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They were high schoolers, and they could rap way better than me, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Cuz I didn't even know what a bar was yet, you know what I'm saying? So
just learning the craft.
Yeah, they'll say something write 8 bars. And I'll be like, all right. I don't even know what I'm about to write 8 bars.
Don't even know what a rhyme scheme is.
Not at all.
Yeah.
Not at all. I'm just rhyming wherever I want.
Yeah.
Just ridiculous. So I go home. My dad plays guitar. And I asked my dad what a bar is.
Yeah.
And I think he kind of showed me, but he didn't know in the format that I needed to know it in. He was showing me musical books, you know what I'm saying? This is a bar.
Trying to get you to read notes.
Right, he's I'm like, okay. But then my dad actually put me in, he wanted us to play instruments because he played guitar. So he put me in some musical classes in exchange for, I wanted to take some production classes. So he was like, yeah, if you learn violin, you could take the production classes. So in those classes, I learned bars at the school called Ethos. I learned bars. Yeah. And especially with hip hop, I needed to know. So the class, he was showing us how to put together instrumentals. So he would literally in Fruity Loops and Reasons just show me Like, you know,
Yeah.
this is where half the bar is at. This is now, it's, you know what I'm saying? So then I literally, like, I have relatives and homies that never even learn that. And when they write, they just ask me, like, when to stop. And then it comes out dope.
Shit, a lot of producers don't even know what a measure in a bar is.
Right.
Like,
But I had to know, or else I wasn't going to be able to do it.
yeah.
Like, I had to, like, or else I was going to be stuttering. My bars were going to be so unorganized. Like, in order for it to be at the highest level for me, I had to learn that. So
No,
this is when
absolutely.
that started to happen, like middle school. And then I started just playing with so many rhyme schemes and studying a lot of MCs. And yeah, that was when I was heavy listening to music and just write every single day,
What were the sort of
day.
people that influenced you when you first started? That you were studying and listening to their bars and trying to be like, all right, so I'm listening to
Oh
like
man,
these big.
so many. The list is actually huge.
What are like
From
your
like,
top three?
oh, that's not possible.
No,
But
not even.
not even, yeah, like literally. But I could just go, like, I could just say anywhere from like Bone Thugs to like Nas to Mos Def to like Talib Kweli to like Mac Dre to like it ranges. So like Gucci Mane, Lil Wayne,
Yeah, you got to study the greats.
Eminem, Tupac.
Yeah.
But then like I was listening to so much, like my dad plays guitar, so I was listening to so much like his favorites, like Red Hot Chili Peppers, Sublime, Bob Marley.
And your dad's from the Philippines.
My dad's from the Philippines. Yeah, he came here like in the 90s or 80s maybe. And yeah, with nothing. He kind of like really came up.
Yeah, that's a similar story with my family. All my family's from Cuba, actually.
Word.
From both sides. But on one side of the family, I'm first generation American.
Word.
Yeah, I'm actually from Miami, and I moved here when I was like 10.
Oh wow.
Which was like a crazy culture shock. For
Yeah,
me.
word,
And
word.
I still never got adjusted. But I don't know. It was interesting when we were talking about this room beforehand. I feel like how there used to be a booth right over there.
Yeah.
You know, and like people actually used to be here all the time, and this like
Word.
area was for the kids.
Word.
And like to me, that seems pretty emblematic of like what has happened to Portland in the past few decades.
Definitely. Yeah, I can still feel the feeling sometimes walking around here. You remember how I used to feel? You know what I'm saying? It was like a glorious time. You know, it was a Portland, because I know that before my time, like if I whoever was 18 in 98, like they experienced Portland very different than me. I was 8 in 98.
Yeah.
You know, they were 18. They were going to the club. Like they was experiencing, you know, they was going to the bar down the street. Like they really knew, you know what I'm saying? Like that means they're just graduating, you know what I mean? They were 16 in 96, you know what I'm saying? Going to high school in 96. Like that's a different Portland that I didn't really experience. Like in 96, I was in elementary school. So my story is a little different.
True.
But you know, because by the time I was in high school, it was still the town. It still felt like it was like this feeling that we talk about. You know, it still felt like that when I was 16.
Yeah.
But I know that person in 96, when they were 16, they really felt like that. What we were trying to keep alive when I was 16. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So, yeah, man. It was a crazy thing, though. Like, just everybody living over here. Everybody. Just walking down the street, going to all the homies' houses. It's crazy.
Yeah. So when I started to look into some of your music and what you've like been doing lately, I saw all that stuff with the Willamette Weekly came out.
Word.
You know, and as I started to read about it and like take a look at it, I definitely felt what you were saying.
Word.
You know, but the interesting thing for me and like the question that I have is, why use your platform to give them more attention?
Word. Because when our platforms collide, then I'm using their platform. So I'm willing to give that up. I'm willing to give a little bit up, because they weren't. They were never gonna write about me.
Mm.
They were never. They were never gonna write about me. Like, no matter how much work I put in, like, and even, well, we can talk more about it because psychologically, that's something that they're never gonna write about you. Like, whatever that means, it means something to like a person to know that like they're never ever gonna write about you. So you can either just like deal with that, or me, I'm gonna talk shit. It's like we're you know what I mean? Like it's overflowing. You know what I'm saying? Like,
and it's interesting the way that when they did finally write about you after you put out the music video, the way that they like portrayed you. Like the first thing that they talk about is like like urinating on the Willamette Weekly, you know, and like try to portray you in this certain.
I never wanted to actually say this because I thought that it was like dope in the moment to let it happen. But that just goes to show the power of illusion, the power of video production, the power of vision, like how powerful like idea is. Because what happened was I poured some water on the newspaper, and I told the camera guy to stand at a certain angle and film it in a certain way. And I poured it in a certain way to make it look like a stream of pee. You feel me? And it was water. And right now on this podcast is the only time that people have ever known that that was water. They like literally thought I was outside somewhere, standing in a yard somewhere, peeing in public on the newspaper.
And of course that's the first thing. Like, oh, he's crazy.
And that was the best thing because I just let it ride. I was like, you know what? I could go on here, and comment, because what was crazy is there's people who subscribe to Willamette Weekly, and then there's people who have on their Facebook page, and then there's people who just heard it. So the ones on Willamette Weekly are not even social media. It's just comments from whoever, you know what I mean, subscribes to them. So it's like old people who are like, I don't even know what's going on here. This is not even my language. You know what I'm saying? Or people saying, this kid's so disrespectful. I thought to myself, I could comment on here, but like I didn't want to waste the energy. And so I just let the people think, like, whoever thought I peed on it, I just wanted them to think that, like, run with that. You know what I'm saying? Like, go, you know what I mean? Tell everyone I did that.
Think what you want of me. I know what I did.
And it was also to the point where like I felt like it would have been impossible to explain myself to everybody. And I wanted it to get to that point. I wanted it to get to that point. Like, before I did Dear Willamette Week, I used to say stuff like, I don't know how people have so many haters. I'm like, what? That doesn't make any sense to me. I'm like, my music is good. 75 to 90% of the time, somebody hears my music, they like it. It's almost like I have a song for every person. Like, I'll meet someone and talk to them and be like, well, you'll probably like this song. Because if they just listen to this song, they might be like, oh, I don't really like this.
Can't relate to it.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So I would always be like, what is people talking about? I mean, I'm in school. Every school I've gone to since middle school, I've given people CDs. And people have just, you know, I might give away 100 CDs in a day. One person is like, no, thank you. So it's like, I always experience this like immense like support, like a crazy amount of like love. And so I'm always like, what is this people talking about, man? Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. Dear Willamette Week, it brought the hate. Like, and not even the hate, just like people disagreeing. You know what I'm saying? People talk, just a lot of, what's the word? Controversy. And so now I realize like for one, a lot of people just talked about the song because they didn't like it.
Mm-hmm.
Like somebody might share it on Facebook or wherever and be like, this guy is so trash. And then 20 of their friends are like, yeah, man, this guy's a fucking loser. Like, he's crying about him, not writing about him and shit. He pissed on the paper. Like, what the fuck's wrong with this guy?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking to myself, that's 20 more people that know my name.
And that's the crazy thing about the internet is that views are views now. So it doesn't matter if people
Word.
like your stuff, fucking hate your stuff, as long as you're getting viewed, then you're popular.
Word.
And that's how rappers make their careers now. It's like
Facts. And I also realized that, you know, we are in this is it, you know, Oregon is a pretty racist place.
yeah.
It's a pretty racist place.
No one talks about it.
And Portland is a pretty racist place. And once you get big enough, those will be your haters here. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So once you get big enough, those will be your haters here.
But the interesting thing to me is the amount of hate groups that are here. Like even if you look at a map of the concentration of hate groups, like there are fucking so many in Oregon and in Portland. And that's something people don't talk about. And we don't talk about how fucking black people aren't even allowed in this state.
Word. Exclusion laws.
Until recently.
Word.
Like that shit happened recently.
1926, 1927.
Yeah. And
Word.
it's fucking and it's just like insane to me. And you can feel it too.
Word.
And like because this city has a particular feeling and like a vibe. And like that's the shit that threw me off when I first got here. Like, God bless my mother. She has a great saying. My mom, when we first got here, she goes to me, so people will open the front door here, but they won't open the screen door. You know? And that's definitely been my experience here. Because it's interesting for me, it's like when people first meet me, they assume I'm white. And then like I tell them my last name, you know, which is very Latin, very Cuban.
Word.
And then they look at me a different way. And it's
off
like
top, when I first saw you, I knew you weren't white. It's probably just because of how I am.
Because you know, yeah.
Yeah, you know, but yeah, that's Portland.
Yeah.
Definitely a vibe, part of the vibe, that there's a lot of like, there's some ignorance. It's like it's like a disease, man. But
yeah,
you know, people trying to spread it everywhere.
It's true.
And it is what it is, but you know, once I think once you get big enough here, then you'll be on their radar. Like whoever they are. It could just be your friend, you know.
Yeah.
Some model that was in your video. For reals. Like someone that was just front row at your show. Somebody you just shook hands with and they wanted to do a song with you, or you know, somebody who, you know, you just met him somewhere at some type of, you know, meeting for hip hop, you know, for the youth, maybe even, you know what I mean? And then next thing you know, they've lost it. You know, they see that you're speaking up for this cause or that, and they're very upset. You know, sometimes I'll even just be, you know, going through like YouTube comments, and I'll just see stuff like just nigger music. This is just behind some random avatar. You know what I'm saying? So like once you get like big enough out here, the gang just walked in, man. You know what I mean? La Familia gang. Once you get big enough, they'll come out. So that's been something that, you know, I've been thinking about. I've been thinking about. Dear Willamette Week brought some of them out. Because some of them don't even think they're being racist.
Yeah. Oh, I don't see color.
To me, this is just a broad statement. Like, this isn't even my language. I don't know what this is. It's like, you don't think that that's racist. You know what I'm saying? Like, this isn't even my language. Like just that statement, like you can really break it down. You feel me? Like just it blanketed, it just sounds so regular, you know, like, oh, it's just not my language. You feel me? But it's just the fact that, or just people saying stuff like, you know, back in my day, the way I was raised, and they're a white person, so it's like, back in your day, you feel me? Like, what was really going on? You know, we didn't do stuff like this, and you know what I mean? What would I have been doing back in your day? You know what I'm saying? It wouldn't have been burning no newspaper. You know what I'm saying? Probably been running my ass up out of this motherfucker before the sun went down. Because I wasn't allowed here if I wasn't fucking working.
Yeah.
You feel me? I'll probably be running to Stumptown and fucking, you feel me, Vanport some shit. Like, on everything. So, you know, when once you get big enough, you'll realize, like, some of your friends voted for Donald Trump and like real shit. You know what I mean?
Something I was just talking about, R.E.B.E.L, the producer of this show, for anybody that doesn't know, about was how much influence rappers have on the youth nowadays. You know, and it's just crazy how, like, even just fame, and we idolize people, you know, and we like looked, and we almost look to those people for like guidance. You know, and it's crazy to me how, like, some artists don't even consider that at all.
Word.
You know, and like promoting these drug use and like promoting like Xans and all this shit. Like, even though, yeah, like you're having fun and you might be okay with that, like, if some kid's like 11 years old and he's seeing that shit,
Word.
that makes a difference to him, you know?
Word. This is something that I always struggle with. Because on one hand, I feel that it's like, you know, you got to take some responsibility.
Yeah.
On the other hand, and to an extent, I'm a part of it. Because someone, and maybe not, someone somewhere all over the place don't agree with smoking weed.
True.
And my music is so heavily marijuana influenced.
Yeah.
And my last song, I'm talking about, I just ate some shrooms.
Yeah.
And some people, I mean, I can understand why parents, you know, that's not going down. Kids can't be eating shrooms and doing all this crazy.
Yeah.
And so, to an extent, like, a kid, of course, could listen to my music and be like, that sounds like something I want to do. And I think it's really like, if they have good parents, then, you know, it's up to the parents to try to like steer them the right way.
Yeah.
And if they don't have good parents, then it's like a hard part of the world. But you know, music is very influential, and it's a crazy thing.
Yeah.
Because I was influenced by a lot of music.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and not every one of my decisions that I made was a good choice. So, you know, it's a struggle. You know, because on one hand, you got people.
There's always like two sides to that story. You know, on one hand, like, especially for me, and what I think about is like, all right, so this is my life and this is what I do. But on the same token, like, you know, I have to take some sort of responsibility, you know, like having a platform and whatnot, you know. But that's because I know when I was young and like seeing like fucking people like Future and all them and like A$AP Rocky and like, oh, I want to fucking smoke weed and all that shit, you know, and like just seeing all that, those being the people that I idolized and all that stuff, you know. And that's the interesting thing for me is now that like the drugs that certain rappers are like taking and especially promoting and stuff like that is literally killing people, you know. And even just the drugs we give our kids, you know, like fucking Adderall and all that shit. That stuff is fucking meth. You know what I mean? Like, we're putting kids on meth. You know? And like, and then we wonder like, oh, why are kids like not paying attention in class and like fucking up and like doing all this stuff?
I think that everything has good karma and bad karma. It's like a because bad karma isn't even I say bad karma just because that's an idea that we can talk about. Like words. Words are burdened with judgment. Every single word that I can say right now is an idea made up by a person, by people. So, for example, like when I say bad, in another country, what we might think is bad here isn't bad there. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
Of course, like, there's governments that in countries, movements that look at our country like what they're doing is bad. Like all of that they disagree. So good and bad is like an idea. See what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So
I feel that.
It's almost like just because we have freedom of speech and we have like all these freedoms, there's going to be someone who becomes famous that says, I don't want to be a role model. And because he's free, he can do that. So it's almost like that's the like bad karma of having this much freedom, that someone is going to say whatever they want. Because when you start telling them what to say and how to be, then we start looking like a different country. So that's almost like a burden that we have to carry, because it's like, on one hand, I might see, that's why when I listen to music, I kind of listen to it very openly. There isn't much music that I don't like. I can't think of an artist that I can say like I don't really like their music. There's even people that are like, ridiculous. Sometimes like people will hear me listening to something, they're like, you listen to that? This guy's talking about murdering people. He's talking about slapping people. He's talking craziness.
No, I feel I like some crazy music.
Vibing to it, and people are like, whoa. You feel me? Because I'm the same guy that's gonna listen to Bob Marley. You feel me? Same guy that's gonna listen to Prince. Yeah. So they're like, sometimes someone might hear me listening to Prince and be like, what's going on? So I kind of just listen to everything with an open ear. And I also think about like, because I'm thinking like, yo, I just seen this guy flexing $100,000. Like he could have like fed a whole village somewhere. You feel me? Built a city in another country. You know what I'm saying? Like you can literally build a city with $100,000 in certain countries. You feel me? Like in the Philippines, I know I'm half Filipino, so I know like you can build a house in the Philippines with like twist up stairs and walk-in closets, and $10,000, $15,000, you'll be barbecuing on the roof on white sands, black sands, what you want. You know what I'm saying? So you can really go build in another country. And sometimes I'm just thinking like, what's this guy doing? Or you feel me? Like he ain't never been to my hood, gave us nothing. You feel me? No hoods that I've been standing in. You feel me? So I done been to Tijuana and certain parts of Mississippi and certain parts of like California. I've been all over the place. I went to New Orleans when the hurricane had hit and seen the damage. You feel me? So
I talk about Katrina.
Yeah. So sometimes I just see all these people having all these millions of dollars and think like they could be doing more, but at the same time, it's like they're paying tuition for their nephews and sisters and right. So it's like when you paying 5 people's college tuition, and you got to think about feeding 50 people for the next 5 years, because you're taking care of your cousin and your brother's son and his, you know what I mean? And everyone is, you go buy 3 houses, you know what I'm saying? It's like you want your mom to be straight, your grandma, you feel me? It's like I done seen rappers in the 90s blow $100 million. That doesn't really happen no more, you know what I mean? And that blow that money on helping people out with their house, and helping this guy out with his car, and giving everybody turkeys on Thanksgiving and hood holidays, and now it's $100 million gone. Feel me? And that wasn't a bad thing. People were living nice. People were having a great time. You know what I'm saying? It's not a bad thing. I've seen artists come back from situations like that. But you have to think about that. When you have $100 million, your mindset's kind of different. You know, every Thanksgiving you're gonna have to give away 20,000 turkeys. So you're kind of thinking 10 years, how am I gonna spend this money for 10 years? You feel me? So, building a school, that's it seems like, you might be able to get something done for $100,000, but like when you really want to build a state of the art school, you're gonna spend some money. So like, Yeah, that's for sure. So,
and the interesting thing to me is when artists actually go out and do that, like look at Akon.
yeah, exactly.
No publicity.
Word.
Like you have to search out and find stuff about Akon, like
Word.
doing all that good stuff.
But that's my thing though. Is like,
Yeah.
you got somebody like that could be rapping about some real gangster shit, but he's giving back to his hood. Then you got somebody like, I'm not trying to down him or nothing, but you got someone like Ray Charles who doesn't really rap or sing about doing heroin, but he was clearly a heroin addict. So you know what I'm saying? So like, I don't really judge anybody,
Yeah.
what they do or like what type of music they make because they doing stuff for their family. Everybody in their family is probably eating. Like, of course, the people in Ethiopia, their brother didn't get on. You know what I'm saying? So like, I feel it to the point because they didn't work for their money, so they're gonna reap the benefits and their family's gonna reap the benefits.
But also I think of it like, you know, it's if there's another movement to push, then we can push it.
Mm.
Like if that culture can change some, you feel me? Like I really think of myself as like a very instrumental part of the world. Like I'm like a key to a lot of doors. You feel me? So if that wants to like, I could easily meet people. You feel me? And they could either just slam the door in my face or like be open to what I have to say. You feel me? So I'm always excited to rub shoulders with people in the music industry and people who have like sold millions of records or sold hundreds of thousands of records. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just because they had to have the attention of hundreds of thousands of people, and that's something that I'm interested in. So, you know, I could even anybody like there's absurd people that I would take the time to talk to. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, I feel that.
Leaders of movements. You know what I'm saying? I would talk to a leader of one of these hate movements around here. If he would sit down with me, I would sit down and talk to him. Like, if I could have my people and my security and it's all good and he's all good, he has his people. Because if something really were to go down, I have people around me that legally would shoot somebody. But that's you know what I mean? But I would sit down with anybody and have a conversation. You know what I mean? Like that's an extreme. But I mean, I would sit down with a leader of a hate group because I could learn something from him.
No, I feel that not enough people want to have conversations today.
Word.
You know, because everybody's stuck in their bubble. You know what I mean? And everybody keeps on getting fed the same material and the same material. And then when suddenly someone else comes in with a different opinion, people are like, oh shit.
Word.
Because internet spreads monoculture, you know, and suddenly it's only okay to have a certain political opinion.
Word.
You know, and I don't even endorse Trump, you know, and I don't endorse a lot of things.
Word.
But I want people to feel okay to express themselves in a number one non-violent way that isn't hurting somebody, even if your opinions might be kind of fucking left. Hey, let's have a conversation. Where number one, I'm not judging you because I've been in certain places in my life that people have judged me for certain things that I've done and looked at me sideways and be like, oh, he's a fucking terrible person.
Word.
You know, because people have different shit going on, you know, and you got to be understanding of that.
Right. And that's a struggle for me. You know what I mean? But I definitely because nowadays I just leave it in I leave it in my music. Here's a crazy thing. One time I seen some people arguing, right? It was around the time Trump had just won. And like in Portland, you were here probably.
Yeah, it was.
The racists came out from hiding. They wanted to be seen. They were standing at the fucking tops of freeways waving.
I live downtown. That shit was insane. Yeah.
So I seen some people arguing, and they're arguing, and there's the people who are arguing for the protesters are sitting down. The people who are arguing for Trump are standing up. So off tops, I look at this situation like this is like just a metaphor right here. Like they're turned up. They're turned the fuck up. They're like saying the protesters are the problem. If they would get out the way, if we would just stop talking about it. I walk up like, can I ask y'all a random question? They're like, here comes Obama. Like, who you voting for Hillary? I'm like, nah, I just want to know if y'all watch my music video. Off top, they're talking about how much they love rap and all this and that. You feel me? And so I give everybody over there a flyer so they can go watch my music video.
Yeah.
Because in the song, I'll talk about exclusion laws. You feel me? In the song, I'll talk about, you know what I'm saying, the racism that is the reason why that conversation they were having is even happening. You know what I'm saying? So I just put it in my music. And sometimes it's hard to leave it there because sometimes I just want to post a status that says like some crazy shit like,
Yeah.
you know, fuck the government or some shit. You feel me? Fuck this country or some shit like that. Some crazy shit.
Yeah, I feel that.
And then I say it and it's just getting so much attention. You feel me? It's going crazy. People are commenting who they voted for and I'm losing friends and it's like I just leave it in my music. You feel me?
Yeah.
Because it's so much going on around that, you know what I'm saying? But everything I put in my music. And a lot of the times, you know, social media, it helps build around the music for sure.
True.
So sometimes I just leave it, you know what I mean? But yeah, there's a lot going on, and there's a lot. I think that racism has some backup. You know what I'm saying? It has some supporting, some allies. You know what I'm saying? You got.
Well, it's been good talking to you. Glad you could have it on. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us today on the Rebel Label podcast. It has been great talking to Swiggle Mandela. Again, my name is R.E.Grove, Arii.Grove. You can find me on Instagram, Spotify, social media, Facebook, all that good shit. Look me up. Please look up Swiggle Mandela. Check out all of his new music videos and all that good stuff coming out for him. And we will see you
Timmi
on...
Hendrixxx.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Got to introduce. Yeah.
Day in this motherfucker, too. Hey.
There we go.
It was good cooling with you, man. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Yeah, bro. You know, we gotta link in.
Hell yeah.
Check your music out.
Let's do it.
You know, look us up, man. It's lit.
Oh, yeah.